This is Dust War Journals, episode 39, your number one stop for all news and discussion related to Dust 1947. My name is Johannes, and with me today are...
Well, this is Lutta, and I just like to say that this episode is by the order of the Pinky Blinders.
Good to know. You're looking pretty dapper today.
Yeah, well, I had to. They told me to. I had to. It's just a new style now. We just have to...
It was not by choice.
No, this is not. The Pinky Blinders, I fucking said what had to be done, right? It's just how it is, right? Yeah. It's getting a little bit to me. Yeah.
All right.
And Magnus is also here as well.
But you're just Magnus today.
Yes.
Yeah. No, yeah. So nothing's really special or new, or
not
new, maybe.
Maybe, you never know. But we'll get to that a little bit later as well.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. And we're back at your place today, Luda.
Yeah. Apparently your place doesn't do anymore. So
no.
It's too damn. Now I just feel like I almost have to defend Magnus now, because you're constantly just
harassing.
Yes. You know, he pays for protection. Just so you know.
Oh, so that's why you're here.
Yes.
I was starting to wonder
if you get out of line. No,
it's good to know. I think we need someone to keep an eye on us.
Yeah.
Not to mention our beautiful viewers, of course.
Yes, just for you.
Right. So let's talk a bit about Dust, or if there's some other hobby stuff you wanted to mention. But I think you, Magnus, had something you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I've been doing some hobby stuff since last time.
Yeah.
And first I want to say that I've received a couple of new board games through Kickstarter.
Ooh.
And it's been a bit weird because, as usual, some of the Kickstarters are a bit late. That happens quite frequently.
Yeah. So part of the course, you have to take that into account.
Yeah. So I got one game that was supposed to arrive in like March, but it just got here. Yeah. And then I got two others that were a couple of months early.
Oh.
So yeah.
Wow.
So I got three of them.
Miracles happen.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I got three of them almost at the same time, and in one of them there are a bunch of models. So I've been painting those, trying to bling that copy of the game up for me. So awesome. It's a really cool game. It's called Sabotage, in case anyone out there is interested, by Fowers Games, and this one is a bit special because it doesn't go. He don't sell his games through retail, so you have to go directly to his websites basically.
Okay,
so Fowers Games, a really cool kind of Sabotage games. It's what it sounds like.
And it's so easy to pick the music for that one, at least. It's going to be Beastie Boys. There's no problem whatsoever.
I thought about it, but I made a playlist with some cool music, but Beastie Boys is not in there because it's a bit too kind of noisy.
No, it's not. It's not too noisy. It's perfectly balanced in noise.
You could probably find a cover or something.
Yeah, I've been looking a bit for it.
This one has races in it, so I shouldn't do that. That was almost Johannes. Behave.
Very, very early, I thought about the Beastie Boys song, obviously.
Yeah.
But the one I found, the normal version, I thought it was a bit too noisy compared to the other music I have in the list. So or that I wanted in the list. So maybe I will find some other version. I don't know. Yeah. But still, yeah. Other than that, I did do some Dust things, and this is also continuing with the 3D printing stuff that I've shown and talked about before. Let's see if I can
find your box of candies there.
Yeah. It's basically boxes.
So it's boxception. There was boxes in the box.
Yes. Yeah. Because I've showed a couple of vehicles, and those are nice, in earlier episodes, and I like those. But, the details when you 3D print, you can't really compare them to, like, regular models like Tamiya or the Dust models itself. When you look at them close, you can see that they are 3D printed. But with terrain, I feel they don't have to have that much detail, and maybe you don't look at them that close, or you don't compare your vehicle, you don't compare your terrain to your vehicles and stuff.
And I would say in this particular case with the storage boxes, it kind of helps to have those lines because they're not meant to be perfectly smooth.
Yeah, exactly. So it works very well, and this is just one base with some boxes that was printed. It's the same file but just printed in different sizes.
Yeah.
So it's like super easy to do, stuff like that. And then I just printed in my regular printer some paper stickers basically and glued them on with some, I don't know if you saw those, some signs and messages.
Super
and
one,
stuff.
the one with the drawing of a plane inside it. But I guess it's like you...
Especially like this little detail with fragile this way up and the arrows in the opposite direction. That's,
definitely.
I like those small, like funny small details that you don't really notice until you look closer, and you will see and maybe get some laugh out of that. I try to do stuff like that on the terrain I build because it's funny.
Definitely, and it just adds that little thing. Even if you don't look at it close and get that funny stuff, it still looks better when you have some stickers and details.
Yeah, it makes it pop, but it gives it a little bit of a story.
Yeah,
you can almost see the workers kind of loading them and not giving a shit.
Yeah, and I mean, it's something you recognize from real life. How many of us have got some packages which is kind of fragile, and the postal service kind of messed it up, or it seems like they dropped it several times or even stepped on it or something. And I mean, that's just funny like that with the sign. It's fragile, and they placed it completely upside down. So
yeah, that's funny.
But it's probably just some radioactive zombies or VK zombies, something.
Yeah, nothing really important or valuable. Yeah. Right. For me, I've also done some model painting since last time actually, and for me, I actually got bitten a little bit by Ludda, metaphorically speaking.
Yes.
Because I bought the latest starter box for BattleTech, which includes a few plastic mechs. So I've been trying to find a paint scheme that I like for these and just experimenting a bit. So that's basically what I've been doing.
Yeah, and it's a good way of making amends from the earlier on here. Things you wish now.
Everything to please you.
Yeah, I guess so. It's nice to hear. And it's good that you guys are being busy, because I haven't done that much. I've tried to do some small stuff, but actually now it's more about just getting the intensity at work to be at a level so I can go to the two upcoming tournaments. I'm quite sure I've facilitated the first one in Tranås now, so that is under wraps. I can go.
Awesome.
But unfortunately, our customer has made it hard for me when it comes to Berlin. But I have come so far that my boss has told me that if we just get some things done beforehand in the upcoming week, then he will let me go to Berlin as well. So fingers crossed. I'm really, really working for that, because I really, really want to go there. But it hinges on some things at work really working this couple of
so crossing our fingers that we can get something to work there.
Rub that green charm or anything.
Whatever you got.
Whatever you got.
All right. So let's go and talk some news. There's been a few new releases, some really interesting things. We have, for instance, the Collector's Edition, it's what they're calling it, Justine and Crew. This is available at Dust Game, both as a model kit and as a Babylon Pattern Premium. And this is really cool, I feel. It's a new hero for the mercenaries, and it's Justine, and it's her crew, Justine's crew, with a squad of 4 mercenary mechanics. And if we look at the mechanic crew first of all, they are a mechanic crew, so they can make the makeshift repair action. They are unique, so you can't spam them. Yeah. And they also have a special rule called Justine's Crew. When the squad is joined by Justine, the combined unit rolls 5 extra dice when performing a makeshift repair, which I think makes this combination the best repair unit in the game at this point. And of course we got Justine herself, also 5 points, so it's 10 points in total for the combination.
And this is, the mechanic crew rule says that they roll 1 die for
each miniature.
So in base they will roll 4 dice.
If they are just by themselves.
And if they are joined by Justine, they will roll 5 extra. So a total of 9 dice per action. Yeah.
Well, actually, for each miniature in the unit, and if Justine joins the unit, then there are 5 miniatures in the unit.
So that means 10.
So it should be 10 in total.
10 in total.
Yeah.
Cool.
Justine has the mechanic standard action, same as you find in most command squads, and she also has the critical repairs action, or rather the special skill. When this unit performs a makeshift repair, it also removes 1 critical hit effect, which is really cool because that's something you normally have to choose to do instead of a normal repair. So definitely the best mech repairing unit in the game by far, I would say. If you can invest in it.
If they spend 2 actions, they can roll 20 dice. Means that they will repair like 6-7 points. Plus at least 1.
And I'm thinking run these crew behind 2 big walkers, and they can repair both of them in a single activation. You can do some nuts things with this crew, I would say. So this is definitely a priority target if your opponent brings this.
Well, there are 5 points each, 5 points for the units and 5 points for the hero. So it's only 10 points altogether. That's pretty good.
If you say this, the problem with this unit is that it's only 10 points each with the 2 of them. Will be, if you don't bring this to a tournament, you don't want to win, because this is basically, it's so frigging good. I know that the Russians KV walkers are hysterically cheap, and you can build a spam army with the repair walkers for the KV-47s, and that would be just silly. The big good point with the KV-47s, though, is that those repair walkers aren't anywhere to be found nowadays, so you can't do it. And hopefully when they go into print again, they will raise those points costs dramatically, because you can really do something really stupid with that. And yes, I've been thinking about it just because to some small tournament just to annoy people. But seriously, who doesn't? Not taking this combo, as you say, 20 repair dice with the machine guns, with extra lives, with everything taken away. I know you can't afford it. Perhaps you don't have the money, but otherwise, you don't want. You don't play. If you play for winning, you have to have this.
In a way, but also they are Soldier 1. They have a total of 8 hit points if you use the entire crew, which means that they can very easily be shut down by an airdropped unit or by something else, by outmaneuvering them. They are relatively easy to counter. You have to play them well if you play them, for them not to be just shot off the table immediately, I feel.
I mean,
that's
it
wrong,
depends.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but it depends greatly on what the rest of your army consists.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, they will, as I see it, they will probably work best if you have some, at least one, probably more fairly big walkers or tanks.
Yeah.
Because if you only run like light stuff, those things will be shot, one-shotted basically. So they will not have a chance to repair them anyways.
Yeah, like for instance, I would not see any point on running this unit in my Endak army, for instance.
Exactly.
Because the only unit that could possibly want to use them in that is maybe the laser Panzer IV.
Yeah,
but even that is pretty easy to one-shot for a lot of units.
Yeah,
but I get you. If you build an army around these with heavy walkers and heavy tanks, they are an auto-include, I would definitely say.
Yeah, well, and I will go even further. I'm sorry, you don't have to build your army around these girls, because you also have 3 wrenches that can destroy many things, walkers coming to you. So, and you have the machine guns. To me, I see no reason why you shouldn't. You with your Endak army, you can include this. They can go out hunt infantry. They are so good at, they have so much dice, they can take 10 points, no problem whatsoever together. And they can go hammer on Cthulhu creatures, and they can go hammer on vehicles. So these are an auto-include in any army.
I don't know. I think I would rather use the African Lions for the same points, actually, if I use them in that role. And I can then get the bonus for them for the platoons.
Yeah.
So,
but the African Lions can't repair your walker if you have a walker that managed to get just about. So these can, and you're gonna have at least 1 or 2 walkers, and they have the special option of repairing.
They are more versatile in that regard. I do agree with that.
They are not only mechanics. They do other things as well. But regarding the mechanical skill, I think they are a very good fit in many SSU armies because of the amount of damage resilient
I
units.
absolutely agree about that.
So a lot of times even
but if you have
vehicle 3 or 4, because sometimes they survive because of that damage resilience, having like 1 damage left or something.
But that's the same thing with the standard German walker army. If you have 2 or 3 German type 4s, and you face the SSU who do 5 damage with one of their rockets against them, have 1 life left, and these girls are just up there mopping away. And I mean,
the problem there is that the more walkers you have, the more spread out they're going to be. If you want these to be able to use them effectively, they have to be clumped together so they can reach everything.
Yeah, but they can still move too, and then repair because they have 10 repair dice. So they don't have to stand just behind like every other.
2 is still pretty close.
But
I'm just saying we have to wait and see. What I think this is going to do is not something that we are going to see in absolutely every tournament army. But this is going to enable a tournament army that we have seen very little of in a while, I would say. And that is the heavy tank, heavy walker tournament armies. Because most tournament armies are spam armies nowadays, it seems.
But I would almost put a bet on it. In Poland next year, 8 out of 10 of the top 10 will have this crew in it.
All right, we'll remember that and hold you to it. Yeah.
I said it here. 8 out of 10 will have this in it included. That's how much auto-inclusive I think it is.
We'll just have to wait and see, I guess.
Because also another point, I know we shouldn't be rambling too much about this, but another point that you said that it would be easy to take this one out, since it's only 10 points. If you come to me and you have that special airdrop unit or something that hunts a special unit, I will not just have this that you want to hit. I will have perhaps an HQ or 2 or 3 or an Iron Joe if I'm Russian then, and you don't want to go for this because I will have. There's so many more, even more important stuff to knock out if you only have like 1 or 2 special units. If you have the chef, he hops out perhaps behind a rock and try to get at these, but then he will have to let me do my other stuff with my HQ or something like that, or my special walker that you're afraid of, or my air thing or whatever. So it's I'm sorry. I think 15 points would have been better or something like this. Then
it's a good unit, and for 10 points you do get a lot.
Yeah.
That's true. So
definitely.
I could definitely see them being at least a couple of points, like I don't know, a couple of points more expensive. I would still consider it a good unit, no doubt about it.
Oh yeah. I would still bring it for 15. That's how good I feel it. I would perhaps weigh it then, and then you get to that Jess Goodwin point that we talked about a few episodes back, which I like. When you start thinking, should I have this unit in my army? Then it's priced at the right angle. If you say, oh, I'm just taking it, then it's too cheap. Well,
we'll see what happens.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We have 2 new premium patterns for some older units, or rather 3 if you want to be more technically correct. The first one is the Obliterator for the mercenaries. It's now available in the Condor pattern, so the more kind of traditional looking splotchy camo with that orange and pink color combinations. Very nice. I like this one. And we also have the Red Rain and Red Fury combination package in a premium box. We don't see this as much, and I hope we're going to see this more, because this is a very good value for money. What's special about this one is that it's the Spetsnaz version of it, so you get the crew with the Spetsnaz uniforms, which is really cool. So you can, because that was something that they added relatively recently, that you could use the Red Fury and Red Rain in the Spetsnaz army. So it's nice that they support that in the model range as well.
Definitely, and I so love this. I unfortunately, since I'm on that tipping point there, because I only have 4, as you know, so I don't know if I should go for 5th or 6th just to get that Spetsnaz pattern. And I've never actually got the situation when I felt that I could field 4 out of each of these, but I would love to bring at least 3 Red Rains to a game. I know the opponent would not like me.
Nope.
And 4 would be even funnier.
How many guns do you have? All of them.
So,
Exactly.
yeah, well.
Yeah, so that's really cool. And finally, we have the Phaser EC8, so a new Dust Elite exclusive Dustified unit, but you can, of course, build this yourself if you are crafty enough. And I suppose that there will be a conversion kit available for both this and the Super Pershing in the future. And speaking of the Super Pershing, this unit is almost identical stats-wise. The skills is identical, the movement is identical, the guns is identical. So the only thing that really separates it is the point cost and the resilience of it. So it has 1 less armor class, and it has 2 less. One less hit point. So the reaction to this on the internet seems to have been that this is a really good unit. Most people seem to feel like this. It's 21 for this Phaser-equipped large vehicle tank. And I think one commenter said, oh, this just puts the Super Pershing into the do not play box, basically. So how do you guys feel about the EC8?
You can go with the ding, 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 I think, here, because, well, Magnus, if I understood it correctly, feels like...
Fight!
feels like the Super Pershing is the better one. I sincerely just feel this one is the better one, but it's still, I have to take, unfortunately, I'm in a bad mood today, apparently. This is not a good unit, but it's an interesting unit, and this one takes you there to start wondering, at least, which I feel the Super Pershing does not. We have already been into that, and I'm sorry. I feel it's a super model. I would love to have one. I would like to field the Super Pershing, but in no way would I play it to try to accomplish anything or win anything or destroy my opponent or something like that. It's just tanks are fun and it's nice with a big gun. I mean, that's Super Pershing for me.
Yeah, both of these tanks just look absolutely awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. When looking at these, I mean, we talked about the Super Pershing earlier, and I feel that it is a bit overpriced, but yeah, it is what it is. The new one here is only 2 points cheaper, and you get like downgraded, so to speak, 1 armor class and 1 damage. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in the game that can like one-shot it fairly easy, or, you know, it goes down, in my opinion, it goes down a lot easier. And the only thing you really save is those 2 points. So if I had to choose between these, I think the Super Pershing is the better. I'm still not saying that is a good unit. I mean, talking like really competitive tournament-wise. I understand that these aren't made to be like tournament units or anything. They are super cool units and they look so nice. I would love to own these, but you know, yeah, strictly points for points. Neither of them is particularly good in my opinion. And if I have to choose, I'm going to say the Super Pershing is probably the better one.
Well, you make a good case there that it's more armor and a little bit harder to kill. To me, though, since when you have something that kills something in this scale, it most likely will kill both of them anyway, to my mind. So since as we were into, this is the small one, the EC8 is type 6, type 4. I mean 6 lives, and that usually leaves you with 1 wound left, and you can repair it with perhaps the mechanics that we were talked about before. It's a good combo, those two together. But what really interests me is that this new tank has an improved range of 14 if you compare it then, of course, to the Cobra, which I'm always referring to in this situation. And I know we don't have that much love perhaps for the Cobra.
The Cobra is quite similar stats-wise. It has the same armor class, it has the same hit points. It has a similar weapons loadout, but it has a weaker phaser gun that doesn't reach as far, and it doesn't have as many machine guns. And still, it's a 4-point difference, and we usually think that the 17 cost Cobra is still overpriced, they've already downgraded the point cost for it once since the last edition of the game.
And so I still would take objection to the point cost, but what this does, that when it does 7 points of damage, it could actually take out a type 5. When it eventually hits with its 1 die, it takes out a type 5. Also with the phaser, since it neglects cover, you get that little extra chance of actually scoring and bringing down bigger opponents. Now this will be costing more than the opponents, because there's nothing type 5 walkerish that costs 21
I mean, obviously there are situations where you really like that gun. I mean, definitely. I was just going to say that you said that many times things that can kill an armor 4 vehicle usually can kill an armor 5, and this is sort of true, but I feel, I mean, I've been playing in the Axis army Ludwigs and Jagdluthers a lot, and I still prefer the Ludwig in many cases because of the smoke launcher.
Of course, and so many other things as well.
Ludwig is just awesome.
It's just better,
super guy. But still, sometimes I like to add that Jagdluther instead, because it adds that a little bit more resilience. So there, for me at least, there definitely is a difference, and I feel that difference is well worth those extra points to have. So I don't know.
It's a fair point, and I understand you.
And I guess it's just all about how you play the game, if you want to be more aggressive or if you want to be a little bit more defensive. And the big thing about both these tanks is they have a very large range especially for being allied vehicles, because most allied vehicles have quite short ranges.
Yeah, definitely. And the phasers are short as well. I mean,
and this is a phaser with range 14.
Yeah, that's really what ticks me. So and since we think both are overpriced, I'd like to go with the one that saves me at least some points. I don't see. I feel like with this EC8, I already get the things that I wanted from the Super Pershing. So with this, I already reached my objective, so to speak, in unit type, and therefore I will not go for that extra. Then I would rather try to somehow, perhaps even hide this or something. Perhaps, I don't know, if I would like to see this with the Crazy Jim in it.
That's also a good point.
I was just going to say that, but I would still use the Super Pershing in that case. I mean, if you're really putting a pilot hero in there, you definitely wanted to survive that little bit more.
And that's actually a point that we don't talk about that much, that you might have to consider the point cost of vehicles by which pilots can actually drive them, because the Allies have a ton of cool heroes that can pilot.
I could definitely the USMC has a ton of cool pilots.
Specifically,
the Allies.
Greg and Issy. I'm thinking
Desert Scorpion.
I'm thinking Greg and Issy.
The non-allied blocks have very many cool pilots for the, and I would have loved because I love the model and I love the story behind Crazy Jimmy. I'm just so hurt that he's a USMC because I don't play them. But no, that's just, so I own one USMC hero. I know actually two, but the other one is doesn't matter.
Somebody not important.
Not important and not open since the Kickstarter. It's still in the plastic. But Crazy Jimmy, I want to play you. I want to.
Yeah, fun little story. Last time I played Crazy Jimmy, unfortunately his vehicle was destroyed fairly easy. It didn't take too long, and he really kind of failed everything up until then. But afterwards, running around by himself, he really did some cool stuff. So.
But I mean, he has a gun and he has a shotgun, and so he can really put hurt to people. So
shouldn't discount that. Absolutely.
I've been toying with putting him in with the squad as well, just
because.
Yes. Well, that's another story.
But definitely an interesting unit in a lot of ways. All right, let's go to our next little topic here, and that is the trivia contest that we held in our last regular issue, so to speak. And first off, I think we should go through the answers to the questions that we had posed back then. So you know what people should have looked for, and maybe we didn't really make that point completely clear, that all of these answers is available in all the free material around the game that you can find, like the old versions of the operations manuals and such. So they are, and usually that's, if we're going to do this again, that's basically how we're going to do it. It's not supposed to be some esoteric knowledge that you have to read that old out-of-print book for instance. Let's go through these questions. And the first was, who is the lesser-known sister of the allied character Rosie?
Yeah, and we specifically asked for the complete name, the entire name of them, and in this case, the lesser-known sister is Emma Donovan.
Yeah, the nurse Emma. And,
mercenary hero,
So we haven't given correct for Emma.
No, unfortunately, because we asked for the full name, and we are also not giving a correct answer, unfortunately, to our contributor Brian Younes, who answered with his own name.
Sorry, Brian, you are not the sister of Rosie.
As far as we know, if we can see some comes out of birth certificate or something like that.
Show us the birth certificate. Show us the birth certificate. And then if you do that and it says sister, we're gonna retract this and we're gonna do something.
Absolutely. But next up, the next question was, what is the real name of the Axis character Panzer Prince? And this we had a lot of I wouldn't say guesses, but we had a lot of variations on this, and we had titles, we had partial titles, but what we are looking for is just the given name, and what we're looking for is the complete full name of this character.
Yeah, and to be honest, I kind of forgot now.
Can you find it?
Yeah, I had it, but I closed it down, unfortunately. So the full name is...
Come on, Magnus, you can do this.
And it's your army, it's your general. I mean, it's your superhero, it's your everything. We're not going to say it just to be kind to you. We know it, but we won't say it.
We got it. It is Walter von Furstenmeier.
Yes.
That is the correct answer.
Thank you. I don't know why.
Just wanted to sweat you there a little bit.
I don't know why I had it, but I closed it and forgot it. So.
Yeah, but I think we all know the answer to the third question, and that is, what is the real name of the allied character, the Chef?
And that is, I'm not very good in Italian.
Pronunciation is a factor here, but we are going for it, and of course both pronunciation and spelling is a factor, but we've gone for spelling is okay if you're close enough, and the answer there of course is Guglielmo Sanicotti. That is the correct name there. So out of all of these people that have submitted correct answers to this question, I have compiled them in a little list with a randomized little thing here. So here, just going to do a random drawing, and we'll see. The winner of this contest is Maja Christensen from Denmark.
Whoa.
Yeah, congratulations.
And
So-
she will be getting what?
She will be getting the Mercenary Railgun team in the mail. So really,
Congratulations.
yes, very much indeed.
Hon är röd, hon är vit. Ja. That's
That
good.
about Denmark, yeah.
Yeah, that's a classic Denmark football tune from back in the '84 when they conquered the world and the European Championship in Sweden, actually.
Yeah, that's
yep.
true. All right, and with that, we are going over to a new segment that you, Magnus, suggested.
Yeah, it was just an idea that I had. We're going to call this The Upper Hand.
Yeah.
And this is a discussion about this is a comparison between a couple of units, and we're going to talk about the similarities, the differences, and in the end, put our own points on.
All right, where were we?
Right, yeah, the new segment that we're calling the Upper Hand, and this is going to be like a comparison between a couple of units that either are very similar in points within a block or between blocks, units with similar roles maybe, stuff like that. So I'm hoping we will get some nice, interesting discussion both between the three of us and with you out there. What do you think about these? Which one is better? Which one is worse? What armies or compositions do you use them? Do you need specific support like I only run these with the mechanic behind it or something like that. And we're going to start off with two really, I think, classic and sort of iconic units. The Axis Sturmkönig versus the SSU Mao tank.
Yeah, so a real grudge match here in a way.
Yeah, and I mean, they are both 22 points. So exactly the same there, and they are both.
They're both heavy. They are both large vehicles, and they are both basically the same battlefield roles, which is anti-air.
Yeah, anti-aircraft. Really big anti-aircraft guns.
Actually, I actually see these as anti-everything.
Yeah, sort of.
Because there's nothing that you cannot hurt with these units. And that's basically one of the reasons that I just fell in love with the Sturmkönig personally when I started the game. One of several reasons. It was just first because it's so darn effective at what it does, and that it looks very brutal and badass. So, but that's all conjecture. That's personal stuff. So let's look a bit more about the actual stats and try to be a little bit more objective here. So first off, one of the big immediate differences that you see between these is the type of unit that it is. The Sturmkönig is a walker and the Mao is a tank. What do we feel about that?
Especially since the last update of the errata to how Rex work, I feel the difference is bigger now than it were before.
That is true.
Because nowadays only walkers and infantry, obviously, but between vehicles it's only walkers who can pass through a wreck. A tank cannot. So I mean, clearly the Sturmkönig has the upper hand in that regard because it's a walker.
Definitely. And there are other instances where certain terrain pieces can make a difference. And to be honest, we haven't really used that much terrain that makes that distinction since 1947 came out, the current rule set. I think we used more in the older version 2.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. So I think we kind of forgot for a while that there is a difference in that regard.
Yeah, but to be honest, I don't think there are too many things that are bothersome for a tank. I mean, usually there are some stuff, but not too many anyways.
What I mean is that you can forget that there is a difference in gameplay and then make mistakes. I mean, that happened in the game that we recorded for our battle report that exact situation occurred. So we know that can happen. And in that regard, the Walker is definitely more versatile. It can get through stuff where the tank cannot.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that is definitely a big kind of point towards the Sturmkönig here.
Yeah. However, when you're looking at the movement stats, the Sturmkönig has a move of 2-3, so move 2, march move 3, while the Mao is a regular tank, SSU tank, and they more or less all of them have 2-4. So it's slightly faster.
Yeah, it is. Also, you got the possibility to put the Mao in the platoon. That makes you go really fast, and eventually, sometimes you get to fire as well. So it definitely has speed against the Sturmkönig.
Yeah, the Sturmkönig, as far as I know, is not included in
No.
any platoon, really.
No.
I don't think any platoon exists that can give it some kind of benefit.
No.
No, I don't think it is either.
So it's just the behemoth kind of thing with that one.
Definitely. So in this case, the point goes to the Mao. And then we come to the actual hull of these. So we have both our vehicle 7. Vehicle 6,
Vehicle
sorry.
sixes, yeah.
They're class 6. But there are some differences. The Sturmkönig has 8 hit points, while the Mao only has 7. But the Mao, as almost all of like all of the Russian tanks, has damage resilience, which I feel is the big break here. Because it basically adds another 3rd hit points. If you look at it in a statistical way, it can go either way, of course, but it is a huge boon for it. So I think even if it has less hit points from the start, for my money, the point goes to the Mao.
Yeah, and actually, if you look strictly at the math, of course it can swing because it's dice rolling, the damage resilience. But if you look strictly at the math, damage resilience give you about 50% more damage. So a vehicle with 7 damage points plus damage resilience equals about 10 damage points without damage resilience. So I'm also saying the Mao is the better one there. But you also have to remember that there are special situations. You never know what's going to happen.
Of course.
We talked about the phaser on the new tank, which is a 1/7.
Yeah.
So it potentially can kill the Mao in one go.
It won't happen often, but it has the potential, and that's also why I like the EC8 and that little phase configuration. That you now, I can take that pot shot and it can go my way. I can really win the game with one die roll. Which it's always nice when you do.
Of
basically.
course. So then, the weaponry, there are some similarities between them. They both have the big quad anti-aircraft guns, even if they are kind of assembled differently. But there are some other differences as well. The Mao has some turret-mounted heavy machine guns, and it also has the specific thing with the Russian tanks that I always find is hilarious, the close combat machine gun that people seem to forget sometimes.
I never do, but of course that's...
Not maybe the people who are playing with them, but definitely people who are playing against them tend to forget about that detail sometimes.
I've seen it going like both ways. People attacking the Mao, not realizing that it can actually, hit you back fairly well. But I've also seen people playing with the Mao, thinking it's a machine gun, so they want to shoot something at a distance. Like, what is this? Oh, it's only close combat in this one.
Okay.
So kind of,
So it is a bit weird there, but if we discount that one, the Mao has 2 heavy machine guns, one front-mounted, one turret-mounted, and it has the quad anti-aircraft guns, which does damage to everything in the game, basically. And that's the same with the Sturmkönig as well. So the differences here, the big differences, is that the Mao has the big anti-aircraft guns, its heavy machine gun, and its close combat defense gun, all mounted on a turret, which definitely gives it more of a versatility. Facing doesn't matter for it. On the other hand, it doesn't have as powerful of a main gun.
No.
Its heavy machine guns as well is not as powerful as the Sturmkönig. It has the Sturmkönig has a dual machine gun, which turns out if you total them up, it's a little bit more dice.
Yeah.
And its quad anti-aircraft guns is also a bit more dice on the Sturmkönig. Yep. And the Sturmkönig also has an 18 maximum range, which can come into play, especially if you use the larger tables, if you play on like 3 or 4 standard gridded maps, or if you play gridless, then that can be a big boon. So, this I feel is the big point that really mixes these up. And
which one do you prefer?
Yeah, I think that's how I have a very hard time to objectively say which one is better, because it definitely depends on the individual situation. And for me, I always like more dice. More dice, more dice, more dice. So I have to lean in favor of the Sturmkönig, because it's just a complete wrecking ball when it gets shooting. But I can definitely see the potential of the Mao if you can get it close and if you can get it in the right position.
That cannon is really nasty. I mean, it's supposed to be like a heavy flak anti-aircraft, but still it's got, even against vehicle 7s, it has a 2-3 attack, rolling 2 dice. Only 3 dice of damage, but still
it's definitely better than nothing.
It can hurt. I mean, so it's a really good gun, no question about it.
Yeah. I mean, I have no trouble just focusing on even up to vehicle 6 with this. I mean, 2-4 for a vehicle 6, and a lot of vehicle 6 has like 7 or 8 hit points. Yeah. So you have the potential to take out most tanks in the game.
Yeah, that's even. I mean, that's better than, or at least equal than some anti-tank vehicles. So
exactly.
It's a really good cannon.
And I'd just like to say, first off, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, that, well, to my mind, I would choose the Sturmkönig if I were playing Axis, and if I were playing SSU, I would go with the Mao. Because it seemed you two hadn't made that realization, because you didn't know when to play the other one.
I'm thinking when we are going to play that special scenario that you can bring whatever you want against the Mythos.
Yeah, well, that's also good. But the fact is that, well, also you have, as you were into that, another tongue-in-cheek prep, that the Sturmkönig is the thing that when you absolutely positively got to kill everyone in the room, as someone said in a movie sometime, then you would bring that, because the dual machine gun also takes out a squad that you need to take out. Yeah. The Mao's doesn't. The Mao is much more versatile, and it's a given if you play a Russian army. In the same way, the Sturmkönig isn't as given, but I think it's better. Also, I think it's also more typed to the nation-specific stats. I mean, the Germans made things to do a specific thing, and they do it extremely well, while the Russian had to be able to do several things. So therefore, I think both these two are exactly where they should be. They are perfect in design, both of them, but
they have slightly different design goals. And you can see that very easily if you look at the one skill that they have in common. Well, of course, we have damage resilience and tracked on the Mao, but other than that, they both have advanced reactive fire. Yeah. And that skill is enormously better on the Mao.
No.
I would say.
No.
Because you can use it if people attack from behind and still fire with a main gun.
I know what you're saying, but also what you haven't mentioned so far is, yes, you could theoretically put Nikolai in the Mao, but the only Nikolai I would put in the Mao is Magnus Kid. So because I think he will handle that better than the pilot in the game. But you got a few princes that you could put in the Sturm.
That is,
and then
one point
that kicks totally. So the option, the other option, not having it's not in a platoon, but they have the pilots that would make it go wow. And if you want to come anywhere close to it, yes, advanced reactive fire, but with the extra, and I know they've dumbed down that now, so the Panzer Prince can't have 3 and he can't turn as bit. Well, I know, but still, they are still. It makes the Sturmkönig so extremely well. So I wouldn't say that everything that when we started off, the Mao was better than the Sturmkönig. The Sturmkönig picks up on the finishing line, and that's why, to me, they still finish neck to neck with the pilots and the ferocity of the weapons. I mean, that they really can kill anything.
Yeah.
They look at it.
I can absolutely agree with that point. So
overall, how do you think, which one, if you have to choose one, which one has the better weapons loadout?
Like you said, if you look at it completely objectively and from like a blank slate, I would have a very hard time to pick one over the other. But just personally, my personal preference, because I like to roll as many dice as possible, I would lean towards the Sturmkönig.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I always want versatility in my armies. You've seen my allied armies, for instance, that I like playing, even if they're not that powerful. So I would go with the Mao, but that's just because I don't, in that special pick, I'm not picking the rest of the army. I still think I can make a better army, including the Sturmkönig, and do a better army than I can if I start with the Mao and then burn it. But if I have to pick, okay, I take the Mao for the versatility, but I think if you want to go for the best army you can do, I would go with the Sturmkönig. I'm sorry, they are so neck to neck to me. So
I'm gonna say the Mao also, basically for the same reasons, that it's more versatile. I feel you can do more things with it. It has more weapons lines. If you want, you can spread the dice out. If you concentrate, in some cases you will have a little bit fewer dice, but I think that is kind of weighed up by the fact that you can, pick and choose your targets, shoot at several things at the same time. And in fact, if you are going to shoot at aircraft, the Mao will roll more dice because it has the machine gun that can roll dice as well. So it actually rolls more dice. Don't forget that.
No, but on the same hand, if you have one of those cowardly opponents that likes to hide their choppers or airplanes in the back of their line, the Sturmkönig will still pick on them and will still start taking them down when they stand over there and they say, I'm not going to advance, stay over here, I'm so happy. That's right. So then you can still use that, and that's. But if they come close, of course, then the Mao comes back at it. But.
So final point then, and now we go back to the more subjective stuff.
The highly subjective stuff.
Yeah. Which one looks the coolest? And I've already kind of tipped my hat here. For me, it is definitely the Sturmkönig. It was one of the units that really got me into the game because it looks like just an evil and mech engineered lobster or something. It's so unique. It's very, very much it kind of incorporates the whole dust design philosophy in a way for me, and it's hard to get my head away from that.
For me, it's a super close contest, actually. Maybe you thought that I would say the Sturmkönig immediately, but I really like, I like heavy tanks. In other games, I really like heavy tanks, and in this game as well.
Yeah.
But if I have to choose, for the same reasons, I'm going to say the Sturmkönig, because it's kind of iconic to the game, for me at least. When you see this, there's not too many other models or other games that looks like this. It's it's super cool. But the Mao and that type, the heavy SSU tanks, for me they are very close behind, very, very close.
Yep, and I would also always go with the Sturmkönig for all the reasons you say. I wouldn't be playing Dust if I wouldn't take the Sturmkönig before the Mao. It's those walker details, the legs, everything. That's what drew me into this game, even though in smaller scales with the Ludwig and the M4s. I like tanks, so I would love to field a lot of tanks. But also, another kicker for me is that every 99% of all Russians I face, Russian armies have the Mao, and I understand definitely why they have it, but not that many still I see play the Sturmkönig, and therefore also I would also, for the design and the structure of it and everything, I will always go with the Sturmkönig first, because it's more iconic, it's more dust, it's more, well, so yeah, design-wise, the Sturmkönig all the way.
So to wrap it up, all in all, the whole package.
Yeah. Who has got the upper hand?
You have to reprise that voice every single time, you know that now.
Well, I have it recorded. Well, for me, for all of the reasons that we've gone through, the upper hand goes to the Sturmkönig. And that said, the Mao is a really, really good unit. It's an awesome unit in a lot of ways. And to have a contrast with the whole the look thing, I mean, sure, you can just say, oh, it's a tank. But I don't think it is just a tank. It is a very special tank. It has that unique dust quality about it, which makes it, again, a very specific unit for a very specific game. You can see that this is not just something from any other World War II era game, definitely. No. It has that dust quality with all those details, with all those little hatches and stuff. And even if you are running multiples of the different tanks, you can still see the differences between them. I mean, they're really, really cool. But all in all, everything incorporated, for me, it is the Sturmkönig.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
But we short and sweet.
Yeah, well, I talk a lot when I talk, so I can be short this time.
Well, I'm going to go the other way. As usual, we disagree a little. No, I think
you see what I'm working with here, guys. You see what I'm working with.
I think the overall package, the Mao is the better one, because it's slightly faster, even if it's just the march move. It is more resilient, so it will be able to stay in there a little bit longer, and it has the most important thing for me. I mean, it's game-wise, you have those very diverse weapon lines. It can do so many things, and it does all of them, well. So
the most important thing, though, is that Magnus is wrong, since we're two versus one. So we are right, Johannes and I. But
the most important thing is, what do you out there think
now
about
we want to
this?
hear what our listeners and viewers think about this as well. So
that's so true. But I was thinking I was going to be a little bit mean towards Magnus and try here on recording it to challenge you. Then I will take on the Germans and the promise to do an army that centers around the Sturmkönig. You do a Russian army that centers around the Mao, and let's face off and see.
That looks like that's
better.
That could be an interesting point for our next battle report.
Is that one?
So,
awesome! I got him. I will kill him.
So like we said, we definitely want our listeners and viewers. We want your feedback on this. Which of these two units do you like, and why? And we also would like some suggestions on other pairs of units that we could discuss and put together and fight side by side and see who comes out on top and who has the upper hand. With that said, let's go over to, first off, some follow-up from episode 37, where we talked about the Zombie Suicide Squad versus the Cultist Saboteurs. We had some more kind of feedback there from Lasse, who we talked about that, and he kind of came with a lot of points that he felt make the Cultist Saboteurs a lot better than the Suicide Squad. Like, for instance, they have unlimited ammo for their dynamite. They are part of a platoon that could give one of them, if you run several, the spy skill. They can be reactivated and targeted by command actions, and so on. There's a lot of different things he kind of puts up, and I have to agree. These are a lot of good points. The one point he brings up that I might not agree is that much of a boost, at least not at this point, is that he lists as a point in the Saboteurs kind of favor that they can be joined by any Mythos or Mercenary Infantry 1 hero, Whereas, of course, the zombies cannot be joined by a mercenary hero because they can only be joined by other zombies. But there are quite a few zombie heroes that you can join them with that definitely makes them a lot better if you want to. So I would say they are quite equal, at least at this point, in that standing. So
yeah, but I can definitely see where it's coming from, and I don't know. Yeah, maybe the saboteurs are slightly undercosted, not too much because they have their limitations. I would probably go the other way, saying the Suicide Squad is probably a little bit too expensive. Not too much either. I think it's is it 8-9 points? I can't remember now on the top of my head.
Sorry, 9.
So I'm thinking that unit is probably like 1, maybe 2 points. No, I think maybe 1 point too expensive. Because you don't underestimate the zombie skill.
No, and with the Frankie platoon. Sorry, listeners. I feel like one squad of suicide zombies does so much for that army, that platoon. They really bring that threat that makes perhaps sometimes also the walkers or tanks look a little bit too much against the suicides and let my zombies forth, and even doesn't matter because they can all sorry.
I mean personally it's been a while since I played like a zombie themed army, but when I did I usually brought one of these, and many games they didn't really do too much. I didn't blow up any big target, but like we said, in other situations they have a huge threat factor.
Yeah.
Because of their Panzerfaust and demo charges.
Yeah.
So they can destroy like almost everything.
Yeah.
If it's big vehicles or monsters or what it might be. So don't underestimate that. And because they are zombies, they have that staying power. Sometimes you can just put them in the thick of things and they actually, or at least some of them, survive.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So it's and correct me if I'm wrong now, but you can resurrect them as well.
If you have the Totenmeister.
Inside.
Because
they are intelligent. They're too intelligent.
No, you can't do that. It's only the mindless zombies you can resurrect.
Right. Yeah, I'm sorry. It was a few weeks since I played the zombies as well, so my memory is a little bit vague.
I mean,
now,
I've played them in many different configurations, and many times I put like one of the heroes, for example, Grenadier X, into that unit. Or maybe
Wolfgang is good as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I would actually feel that I haven't really had the opportunity to play that much with the Cultist Saboteurs yet. They definitely seem like a very good unit to me. But I feel that the problem here, because this kind of stemmed from that, this feels like power creep, that these are units that are just a lot better than other similar units. But the problem here is not that the Saboteurs are too good. I think it's that the zombies are maybe a little too expensive for what they do. They might get away with being a little cheaper or have something that boosts them, because we don't really see zombies do that well.
No, but I think it was also in the former edition of the game. There was some problems with the zombies. I remember some on some of the tournaments back then. Zombie armors were a bit too strong, so they kind of got toned down a bit, and it was probably, at least in my opinion, a little bit too much. It's not. There's a very delicate balance there.
It's very, very difficult to find that exact knife edge that makes them feel perfect. So I can understand why that happens.
Yeah, well, I see the zombies army as not one of the best, and so that's the reason why they don't get picked and win tournaments. I played them a few times and I love them. I think it's very, very interesting and fun armies to play, especially when you play the Frank list. And I always enjoy it, and I always feel like I'm almost there, at least when I lose, that I could have won that game by just a few things, triggers. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if a skilled zombie player were to reach the top 3 in a European Championship. I would be very surprised to see one win it. That's true. But I don't think they are that bad. I mean, it's not, but they are not the one you want to go by if you really want to win the big tournaments where everyone is competitive. But I think they have a little bit bad rep because I've seen a lot of good players play really good with zombie armies, and I wish I could have played more tournaments with them. I only played one, I think, if I can remember correct, and I think I won 3 out of 4 with that then. So,
We'll see in the future. Never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see some new cool heroes that will boost somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, when that X-35 creature comes, I mean, that's when I'm really going to start preparing.
I don't think that's going to be in any way Soldier 1 like hero.
No, I see him as Soldier 1. 4 points.
All right, let's go to mail call. We have some really interesting questions this time, actually. First off, we have a question from Ken Hernandez. With the IJN Giant Samurai robot coming out, what other giant mechanical mayhem machines would you like to take on in the battlefield? A giant Kongbot for the Axis, a bear mech or dragon mech for the SSU, or a Statue of Liberty that has boxing gloves and phasers, perhaps?
I love that one.
I actually think I'm thinking more in the lines of when you talk about the allies, like if any of you have ever played Fallout 3, the Liberator Prime robot. It's kind of big. I mean, basically think what's the name of that? The big robot, the animated movie. Well, what's that guy?
Well, I don't know.
That's so annoying. I know exactly what I mean, and I should know what it's called, but it's just eluding my mind.
Yeah, could you give us some basics about it? I mean, it's an animated movie about a robot. Yeah, there are a few. I mean, sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Well, whatever. I would love to see an American shits for giggle thing that with the Statue of Liberty robot with phasers or something. That would be hilarious.
The Iron Giant is the one I was thinking of.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's a bit similar in respect, and that I could see that for the allies.
Oh yeah, definitely. That would be nice.
I don't know if I don't have any specifics that I would like to see, and I kind of hope that they don't, drive some. I mean, I don't want them to do this too much.
Yeah, because you want those.
If there are huge giant monsters and robots everywhere suddenly, they will not be special anymore.
No, we are already in the GV wake, and I understand, but commercially they want to do that. I mean, the bigger the plastic, the more cost, the more money they get into their business. So, but I still hope that we will have these. There will be one-offs with the big ones.
And we talked a little bit about like a tangent to this before when we're talking about regular like historical World War II vehicles compared to the walkers. I mean the dust stuff, and part of why I like those historical vehicles is that suddenly the Ludwigs or whatever it might be becomes even more special.
Yeah.
So it kind of grounds the more outlandish vehicles by surrounding them with.
If everything is special, then nothing is special anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a little bit how I feel. So I hope that they do more cool stuff, obviously. But I hope they do it like the right way and not get too carried away by it.
Yeah. A thing that I would love them to do for the Russians is a version of that non-existent tank, because that's probably where we are right now, because I always thought it existed. You know, that big train tank which they had in World War One. At least we thought they had with several. It was like a battleship.
Oh yeah.
But if they did a 3 or 4 square tank with several towers, then that would be unique. It would be in the Russian genre, and also it would be totally implayable, because I mean, like, try to move a 4 square vehicle in in the 2-mat scenario. You are happy if you can get it into the table and then it stands there. So it would be a wonderful thing. It would be.
But more of a scenery piece,
yes,
maybe.
Yes, it's like I bring my own scenery here, and it's like taking the bunkers and put tracks on them, or like something like that. Something like that, I would love to see, even if it's just 3 squares. Now we haven't played that much with the crocodile, so we don't know actually how hard it is to play with it, because we think that like 3 square vehicles will be almost improbable also to field. So perhaps it's enough if the tank is 3 squares, but 3 or even 4 square tank. I think that would be cool, super cool actually. And with the huge cost, because then even though of course we need more bears.
Everyone wants the bears, except one.
No, that's a cap. I think it's fairly balanced actually. Who wants the bear and doesn't want the bear? But and we've seen the King Kong that someone made, and we love that skull.
Yes,
spontaneously, we like to say though perhaps we think the card isn't quite balanced, so one had to work quite hard with that card.
It doesn't really matter if you just use it in your own casual games. Definitely. And you use it as a special scenario or something. That's something that should be definitely be taken into account. That if you do these specific custom builds and custom units and justifications and such, make them a special part of a scenario or something like that. And it doesn't really need to be balanced.
No, definitely. It doesn't have to be balanced at all, as long as you do it for the giggles. And if you do, everyone is in on it, so to speak. Everyone knows what to expect here.
Absolutely.
So we love that people do that, and at least I that I've said it many times. I love when people do their own thing and evolve the game and stuff like that. Sorry.
Right, then we have a bunch of questions again from Lasse Dahl. First off, any ideas for a great Halloween scenario? Well, first off, I'm thinking zombies again. I mean, that's pretty... Zombies and pumpkins. I mean, that's a simpler thing to do.
Incident 4156.
Yes, that is absolutely true. There's an entire, like, a scenario campaign going on there.
Works whole of Halloween. Yep.
Yeah, so search up that one. That's a very good idea, actually.
I think we have it on the web. I think it's on at least on the Viking web.
Yeah, somewhere. I think so too. Yeah.
We should try, because I actually haven't tried. I just read through it. So that should be really cool to do.
It's very good
somewhere. And the next question from Lasse: what is your favorite point values for casual and tournament, respectively? We usually play around 100, 125 when we play tournaments, and that doesn't really necessarily mean that's our favorite points values, I would say. It's the most common, but I would say the most fun games that I've been involved with has actually been at smaller point values, because it forces you to kind of look at every individual unit choice with much more scrutiny, because it's a much larger percentage of your entire army. So playing somewhere around like 60 or 70 points, that's usually just for fun. If you go casual, I think that's my sweet spot.
Yeah, I think, for tournaments, like 100 or 120 are nice points values, I think, because those games are, not too long and not too short. So that's good if you want to have like a serious tournament. But we have tournaments on smaller points on a couple of occasions, and those are also immensely fun. I like those as well. And for casual, I don't really have a favorite point. It really depends from situation, from what you're feeling up to. I've played a lot of fun smaller games, and I've also played those huge games, like formats and several hundred points. Yeah. And those are truly epic and memorable. But I wouldn't want to play several hundred points every game. Like,
those games take all day.
Exactly, and you're kind of exhausted afterwards. So I would say, yeah, the variety is kind of the key to play different.
Yeah, well, as long as the tournaments are like they are at the moment, 120 points is a sweet spot to me. I think it's without doubt the best point tally for a tournament. You could do special things with your tournament, but I'm not going to be too tiresome here about that. And otherwise, I would think I actually enjoy 200 points best if I play just casually, because if I do a one-off casual game, I would like to bring a lot of my miniatures, and that at 200 it doesn't slow anything down. I think it's good, it's playable. I could actually do a tournament on 200 points, I think, as well, and it would be no problem, depending on how you structure the scenarios and the time limits and amount of days or players and stuff like that. But so just to say something, 120 and 200.
All right. So, final question here from Lasse. When playing a game, what terrain type do you like the most? Urban, desert, swamp, jungle, snow, forest, or other? Well, we have played a lot on both urban and desert mats because for a long time the urban setting in Sverograd and such was like the standard. Nowadays it's the desert. That's just been a lot of that stuff. So played a lot of that. It's okay. It's interesting, but it's kind of it's a little bit tiring to just see the same things over and over. So just see something different. For me personally, the jungle scenarios and jungle terrain, that is something that really kind of tickles my fancy, I would say, just from a visual standpoint.
Yeah, well, if I had to choose one, my most favorite gaming table to play on, I'm going to be super ego here, and that's actually going to be my old warfare table I made for back in the day. It's now I think it's still alive somewhere in Jönköping at a gaming club or something. And it was a lot of Russian houses, because you were going in between big houses, and there were several
skyscraping.
Several
fairly high, tall buildings.
So you can go up and down in the buildings, and you can shoot down on. I love, if I have to play just one type of board, that would be the board I would love. But then, of course, the variation is the big key, I think. Please, I've seen the dodgy boards here with the from US now that they've been playing this night, if I understood correctly. It's so beautiful, so wonderful, so everything. But that man is a friggin' meister when it comes to doing good stuff. So, and I mean, like, someone do a snow table. I mean, really good snow table. I would love to play it, or underground or anything. But if I have to choose one, tall buildings, and with all that, I mean, really fierce Sverograd feeling, that would be the super one. Oh, sorry. Magnus.
Yeah, again, variety is always nice. But for me as well, if I had to choose, it would probably be the urban. I've said that before as well. I like the city fight style. I remember back in the days when playing 40K, and they released they released a book, I think, called City Fight, and they released several terrain sets. And the old gaming club I was part of back then, we bought, I don't know how many boxes, but tons of it, and we built everything. Yeah. Put up several, or even, one huge table playing City Fight. And that kind of stuck with me. So, and I've also over the years built a lot of City Fight terrain, buildings and stuff around it. And I like building that kind of terrain as well. So, I'm gonna go with City Fight.
Yeah, cool. Our next question comes from Jeff McKayan. With the introduction of the terrain units, such as the VK Stash, do you see an expansion into more of these types of units, such as more terrain or equipment units that have a cost? Also, how do the three of you use the VK Stash in your army lists, and how have you seen them being used by your opponents tactically? Well, to be honest, I don't think that any of us have either used or played against the VK Stash
Not
so
yet.
far.
Not
But we probably are going to at least face it relatively
Soon.
Yeah, I think so. So it's mostly like theory crafting at this stage. But I feel that there are some very interesting stuff you can do with it. I see people are experimenting with like putting them in passenger seats on transports and stuff, and going like using them as an extra terrain feature to block off people. There are interesting things. I think this is something we are going to see more of in the game, but exactly what that's going to be, it's hard to tell.
Well, I sincerely hope there's going to be more, and I'm hoping this is the first of the line that us talked about several years ago. There were talks then about a special deck with equipments that you could equip your walkers with, like when the amphibious thing were coming and stuff like that. And I would love to see all those little trinkets that you can. Also, because you can remodel your stuff and make a special, unique little walker-ish type, but also just having that special scenario. And okay, this one I need this or that, so I put some extra, perhaps extra anti-air just guns, because you've
or just put like you get VK enriched ammo for your machine guns in a walker, and that a certain point cost that adds some specific like extra damage or something, some extra skill to it.
I also really hope that we will see both the equipment type, so you can kind of customize your stuff a little bit more, makes it more interesting. And I love this addition of the sort of terrain piece almost with the VK stash. I have no idea what else they could add, but I'm sure Olivier will have some cool ideas about it. And for me, it kind of makes the game deeper, so to speak. I mean, you have a whole bunch of units that you can choose from, so that's kind of the breadth of it. But this stuff that you can also add some terrain, which also have some effect, that makes it deeper, like a whole new layer. It's like an onion now. So I just
like an ogre.
So I just hope we will see more of those layers, so you can think, okay, if I can make this cool combination, what if I take the VK stash with this vehicle and also add this cool equipment or other stuff? It's so cool. I think you can do so many cool things.
Really, really cool. All right. Brian Keith Younes asked, if in theory there were to be an Axis superhuman, what would you want them to be like? I kind of feel we have almost got it already. I mean, we have heroes like Frank von Stein, for instance. That's almost like a superhuman. I mean, he's clearly inspired by Wolverine. In some ways.
What do you think? What?
But I'm thinking like we have that. We have sort of like Captain America. We have kind of sort of Iron Man. I'm thinking somewhere along those lines, and some super science version of that. So I'm thinking some sort of cyborg hero that would kind of fit the Axis way of thinking. I would probably think like maybe a robot body with just a brain controlling it, something like that. That would be interesting.
Something out of the Vril catalog. Something.
Yeah, maybe that they've appropriated some more of their Vril technology into that, because it seems like the Axis is the most technology-focused block.
Yeah.
So that would make sense to me at least.
I was immediately, when you said that, I was just thinking of the guy in Hellboy.
Exactly, the Kraus character.
You have that sort of I don't know what you would call him, but he's some kind of cyborg.
Yeah, but he's basically like a ghost trapped inside a diving suit or something like that. But just visually, that is almost what I visualize. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that would be nice. But I'm more attractive actually by your first idea there, perhaps to have, but perhaps not go full cyborg and only the brain, but just see someone with gigantic arm or something with a pinch, or
yeah, that could be a cool idea,
having,
like
upgraded-
cybernetically enhanced in some way.
Yeah, to open perhaps frog infantry twos, infantry fours. I mean, sorry, like
Yeah.
it could be, or like a buzzsaw. I mean, like that goes very well to open them up.
I could actually see it being. It could actually be an infantry 2. Like just running around with like big mechanical arms or something like that. That could be interesting.
If you go too far, I think you go to the Bloodkreuz. Then it has to be a Bloodkreuz thing. If you move it too much, but if it's only one thing, if it has one leg or something, one eye, or it's a laser eye or something like, then I think it could still be a block thing. I don't know. This is just a feeling. There's just nothing I can base this on. But for me, at least, that for one arm, or like perhaps being without an arm but having a rifle that he can triggers with for some reason, so it's an extra. I don't know. And of course, I don't want to not mention the Red Skull, especially since you painted him once. But it's something in those lines, because he was like a superhero for them.
What I would like to at least see in an Axis superhuman is that, I think he should be different from the other two in the game. I meaning they are, they are flying, and they are fairly like aggressive, offensive. They can be like really in your face. An Axis one, I would like to not be a flying guy. I would like for that guy to be different somehow in that respect.
Yeah, some sort of more backline superhero in a way, but that kind of also defeats the idea of it being a superhero. So
it's tricky, but I wouldn't want to see another guy just flying around.
Just a new take on it.
Actually, if I merge my two ideas, why not have one guy in the line of German infantry 3, slow walking, and he has one bad or one new arm, and you can change that. So he's like X amount of points, and before the game you choose. Is he going to have the big gun, big claw, or something else? I mean, perhaps so you can, or he's just... or it can be perhaps a shield generator or something, that he generates shields or to people in close.
That's an interesting thing.
Yeah, if you want to be a backliner, I mean...
so kind of generate a force field around him so he protects units close to him. Yeah, that could be an interesting thing.
Yeah, and just the fact that you could choose for the game in question that, I paid X amount of points for this guy. Now, okay, you got that army. Okay, I'm seriously outgunned. You have so many tanks. I have to have the big gun on this guy this time. But then I don't have the other stuff. Or, a lot of close combat there. I have the claw, or a lot of bullets.
Like
okay,
I could see like a Dr. Octopus type,
in that way.
Some kind of arms or something.
I'm thinking if it is a modular hero like that you can switch things off, then he has to be Swiss.
Yeah, definitely. You are so true. The Swiss Family Robinson.
Yeah.
No, sorry, but also, I mean, even though then you get a little bit, they might be hard time to designing it, because I think they will be coming very close to the GVs, Stratum Militanta, whatever they call, with the one with where they have all the gadgets that come out of them. But something like that with perhaps 2 arms. I could see that, not 4 them, because then Marvel will be all over them, and I don't think the last thing you want now is Disney and Marvel coming after you. then you're dead, basically.
No, but I mean, mechanical arms, you can do them in many different ways.
Definitely, and people have done that, such,
and since Marvel and GV now is teaming up as well, it's like this. Okay, let's skip the mechanical arms, I would say, but I love the idea. No, 1 or 2 mechanical arms extra. That will be...
that's how I feel. More focus on that kind of technology enhancement stuff.
Yeah,
I think that could be cool.
But not over the top, so no flying guy.
No, definitely.
Right.
And it also goes in line with the German block army stuff, that the Wehrmacht thing. Make him slow, but make him hard like hell.
Yeah.
I mean...
Definitely. Next question comes from Johnny Grogan. Hey fellas, with the new style models coming, what are your thoughts? You like the idea? What he's talking about here is the replacement for the primed model range, which is going to be replaced by, I think they call it ready to play, which is colored plastic instead of pre-primed figures. And yeah, we've mentioned this a little bit before. My thoughts are, I think it's, well, for most people, it might not make that big of a difference. I mean, it's still just put them out of the package and you're ready to play and put them on the table. And if it means that you can get the same amount of models for cheaper, or if you get more models for the same price, which seems is the way they're going. It seems like most of the upcoming units are going to be 6 figures that you can swap out the leader in. That's kind of the thing going forward. And so I see that as a big boon. Of course, it's going to be annoying if you want to paint them that you have that extra step to prime, which can be different for different people. So yeah, but it's not that big of a thing. And for people who have seen the pre-production minis that the studio have shown off, it seems like they also are going to up the detail level a little bit because of these new plastic.
Yeah, exactly.
So that is definitely a big boon.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the whole point with it, that they are going to hard plastic for everything, which is a very different like process to do models in. So of course, yeah, I'm gonna miss the prime stuff a little bit, but for me it's not that big of a deal anyway.
No, I need more raw data to have a bigger spread of feelings for this. I mean, it's just, I think it's going to be good. I think they do this out of several very good reasons, and I see nothing bad with it. I see only positives, but since I am one of those who prime my models even if they're primed, because I usually want to have the white coat first, then I see no big difference for me. But for the game in general, I think it's good.
Yeah, so we're optimistic.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Then we have a few questions from Adam Shagan. Do you look forward to the Ook Ook revolution? Shall the apes be freed of their shackles and save us all? Of course!
Yes.
Of course, the apes should go and form their own faction and just be their own complete separate army from everything else. I know I have supporters out there on this.
Definitely. Well, there's no problem with that. If they, but they can also be. I like the fact that if we can have both Bloodcourt's apes and a free apes fraction.
Yeah, so there's a civil war between the.
Yeah, you can face off apes versus ape, and you can have. Perhaps some differences then it's the standard apes that they manufacture, so to speak, by the Bloodcourts, but then the free apes, they mutate, they take new forms, they have more diversity, more different types of apes and stuff like that.
And then we also know that we have the upcoming Vril 4-armed gorillas coming up, so there's a third faction.
Yeah, Martians.
Yeah.
Baby, I love them.
Ook Ook everywhere.
Yeah, Ook indeed. And next question from Adam is, what do you theorize Farouk will have for abilities? Is it the hero the cultists needs or the one they deserve? For those who haven't seen it, Farouk is an upcoming hero for the cultists. That is an infantry hero with dual Tommy guns. Yeah, it looks really cool. The hero the cultists need or the one they deserve? Well,
I'm not sure. Is it the difference there? Maybe it's the same thing.
Yeah. To me, he's the dead hero they have to bury. So it doesn't matter anyhow. I just bring him and he'll die.
It could be both of those, or it could be neither. So.
Yeah. We'll just have to wait and see there. I guess.
Dead hero they deserve. That's one for me.
But that's kind of my kind of experience with the infantry for the mythos is just that's their job. They're there to die.
Yeah, definitely.
They're there to.
I mean, this guy, he's got like 2 submachine guns or something, so he's probably going to shoot a lot against infantry. But
he has to get close. That's the problem.
And he's probably not going to do too much against vehicles, I'm guessing. It doesn't look like he has any type of dynamite or
No. Yeah.
So I don't know. And for skills and stuff, he's probably going to do some kind of boost to his unit.
Yeah. Most likely.
Yeah.
Hopefully it die easy. That's the only I'm concerned. Hopefully Johannes plays him and he dies like the rest of his infantry when it comes to Mythos.
Yeah, but that's fine as long as the monster survives. So.
Don't talk about those. Don't talk about those. That's
All
not
right.
above board.
Yeah. Next we have Mike Pierce, who has a lot of questions about amphibious vehicles. So what amphibious vehicles do you speculate for Axis coming with the new scenarios? And, well, to be honest, I'm not really that set into the historical vehicles that the Axis used that were amphibious. I saw there was an answer on Facebook on this from Brian Yunes that says, as a fellow Axis guy, I've toyed with amphibious Axis stuff for Sea Löwe based on Schwimmpanzers, the Sea Teufel, and Schnorkelpanzers, but as walkers, so kind of walker variations on those. Yeah, sure, why not? And I think probably we are just going to see new stuff that we haven't seen before, if there are going to be more amphibious stuff coming up.
Yeah, I would love to have something like with perhaps, done on the Ludwig chassis or with their big tubes of air in the back, and they will have like a bubble so the pilot is sitting and steering, and it would be full on underwater battles. I mean, we've talked about this so many times. That's something I would love. And then they have like rockets or something, because
torpedoes.
Yeah. And perhaps there's some VK that does that. If you go out of the water with them, you can still shoot them as rockets or something like that, reloadables. That could be a walker that could be interesting in many aspects. A little bit new visualization, but quite similar, so it blends in. That's what I would like to see, at least.
Sure. And next up, if we are taking the battle to water, do you think we will see pontoon boats, rafts, hovercrafts, etc. as options? Hovercraft, I would say, yeah, that's a possibility, because they are amphibious. They can move on the ground as well. Pontoons and rafts and such, like just completely water-based units, I am more skeptical about. Because we do need, if you are going to make units for a game, they have to sell. And in order for them to sell, you have to be able to use them in all settings, basically. So amphibious, yes. Completely just water-based units, no, I don't think so.
But the boats, the rafts and stuff like that is something I would like to be in the added, like the VK extra stuff. Because you could add a boat. You could actually put it as a terrain piece. Then you can block a square, perhaps by it or something like that. You can, even if it's just a land scenario, place it somewhere. You have to doodle it some with the rules, but it could probably be something that you could use. And then when you have the water scenarios, then you can put your units in it and go around on the water. Especially if it gets more water. But I would like to see more, as I'm on about too much, perhaps, to go underwater. Everything that goes underwater, I'm 100% for. But
for me, I would say that the kind of first stop would be to make playable landing crafts for all blocks, more or less.
Yeah.
As it is right now, there is an official card for an allied one.
Yeah, they made a dustified version of that a long time ago. That's been out of print forever, and it's probably never going to get back into print.
Yeah, but the card exists.
Yeah, the card exists and is still available. That is true.
And there are other models that you can use or build yourself, because they aren't that complicated, really. Those landing crafts. But I would like to see cards for all the different blocks.
Yeah.
Because to me, a landing operation should like all blocks should be able to do them, and like the photos we've seen now from
from the Battle of Kaiju Island,
exactly.
with all the tons of the landing craft coming in on the beach. Yeah,
that's absolutely awesome. It looks fantastic, and I'm sure. Like back in the days, in the Sea Löwe operation, there were tiles, so you can do this type of landing operations with the Axis actually, attacking the UK.
Yeah.
So why not make cards that are updated for
and,
everyone?
Those are also something that can be like the VK, because you can buy non-specific.
Make them general and not block.
So everyone can buy a landing craft, and that's good when you play those scenarios. And perhaps you can do something with it that, well, if it's not in this scenario, no water, then perhaps you say that the last squares on your side is just by the water, so you can place your landing craft on the first 2 squares. And if it has a machine gun, you can go into it. It's like a building then. It's like a mini bunker or something that, okay, it's not doing its stuff and it's not a good thing to have, but you can still use it in the game. And, I don't know.
I'm thinking if they do that, it will be more of a terrain piece that doesn't really do anything or has any point cost. It's just there to create the scenario, to create the look for it, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you can, exactly. You can put it into the scenario in many different ways. So, there are stuff that you can do. But, I mean, for me, it's very iconic with those landing scenarios.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool stuff.
Talking about underwater, which you mentioned earlier, the next question is, would you like to see Navy troop types such as frogmen, wetsuits, or Navy SEALs? Yeah, sure, absolutely. Especially since we know that there are deep ones coming. So to have just a fight between deep ones and Navy SEALs, I mean, that would be awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, if you have... It should be so that they can bring out, like, you have some tiles that you put beside, and those are the level 1 water hexes or something like that. So you have like 2 mats or 3 mats something, and there's 2 squares of water on those mats. Then that's the water level, so to speak. It's the land level on if you place people over there, and then you have 2 or 3 squares beside the terrain, and that is when you go underwater and you can fire. Perhaps you can't fire out of the water or something. I don't know. Those rules, they just have to. But we already have frogs, of course. And as you guys know, I'm doing 1 squad, and also then it's time to shout out thank you to Ulf if he's listening, because he's supplied me with the 3rd and last oxygen tanks for my 3rd frog. So I'm having 1 squad that is actually frogs that have special little air things with their
interesting.
And
also going with the amphibious theme here, do you think that airlift transport will become more valuable? Well, if we actually go to a more like marine based or island hopping scenarios and such, possibly, but again, it's that kind of thing for specific scenarios. Yes, in general, perhaps not.
Yeah, but still, they're only 7 points as well. I think they can be 1 point more expensive. They can go to 8 or 9. It's not. It wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, maybe. And finally, could we get to a point of full-on water fights, walkers versus boats or hovercraft with no infantry? I would probably say most likely not. For the reasons that I said, I don't think we are going to get boats in that way. And if you want to do that, I mean, sure, go ahead. You can do whatever you want. We saw that also with the Kaiju Island with the big dog fight around the hangar ship. I mean, you can do this if you want to. But if it's going to be official units just supported by the rule set, I'm very doubtful that it will happen.
Yeah, and I don't know how we should play that, but I could see also infantry units on boats then. If the boats are, if we're talking bigger boats, now it's 4 or 5 squares or something, then you can have your infantry on those, and they can be firing rockets or shooting machine guns again. You can have like small boats that try to take the other ones, bigger boats. I mean, so my small guys are going over with small boats to try to take control of your big boat.
I think for me the scale will probably feel a little bit off, because I mean, like battleships or something that. Those are big. Just or submarines or something. They are just way too big.
Yeah,
compared to it's like the scale will be completely off. So I would probably more see that as a completely different game. It could still be like a Dust game in the Dust universe, but it would be a naval battle game, separate game in a different scale. It could probably have many similar things, many similar like mechanics of how the game works, but it would look very, very different.
Finally, a question from our old friend of the show, Ben Langen. Have you tried playing 4 mats instead of 2? I find it makes more interesting and well-balanced games, making people spread out a bit more. Yeah, we have, but usually when we are playing 4 mats or bigger, we do it with multiple players. But we have played freeform games on larger areas, so that's more kind of in that vein, and I have no like negatives to say about it. It's very interesting, and it makes a cool game. It does make certain units with long ranges more valuable, but the cons maybe it takes like 1 or 2 turns to just get people in range of each other.
I would also say it makes some units much worse. We were talking about zombies. If you have a lot of close combat units, those can have a really hard time to actually do something, because they will have to run all game and probably get shot up on the way. So
it depends, of course, on the scenario, what type of terrain you have and how you deploy and all like that. And also, but basically, I'm all for playing 4 mats, even if I play 50 points, because I like the possibilities of moving around, and that what was so good when we went from the V1 to the V2, when we started having movement on the units, so to speak. V1, it was like a chess thing. It's a one square. It was very good and very fun, and I loved that game. But when you got that versatility again...
for viewers out there who don't know, he's talking about the first edition of the game.
Yeah. Oh,
where
sorry, V1.
Basically, more or less, unit was like half of what it is. The movement of units was half of what it is now. Most units can only move 1, or march move 2 squares. That was kind of a standard. So, and it makes a huge difference on the dynamics of the game.
Definitely. And you see that going from different mat sizes. If you're going for 2 mats, 3 mats, 4 mats, I mean, it makes an enormous difference for how you have to play the game and what units are good in different scenarios. So I would say to anyone, experiment, try something that you haven't done before, because it does make a big difference. More those little things that you might not even have thought about.
Yeah, and again and again I come back to that variety, because just changing something like that, just the area you are playing on, it will really change your views on a lot of units and change like your whole appreciation of the game. At least that's how it's for me. Suddenly you see things that you haven't seen before. Maybe you sometimes get surprised or caught off guard. You think, okay, I have this under control, and your opponent do some kind of move or whatever, some kind of combo that you hadn't foreseen. That's super interesting to me to have that, depth of the game. You can change something as easy as just adding 1 mat, playing on 3 instead of 2, or on 4 instead of 3, and it changes so many things.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I really love about this game, that those seemingly small differences can make a huge difference in how a game turns out and how it plays. So experiment and try out different variations. It really does a lot.
Definitely.
And also reminder for our listeners and viewers out there, if you want your questions on the show, you can either just find us on Facebook, or you can send an email to dustwarjournals@gmail.com. And with that, I think we are done for this show.
I'm sorry, I'm going to break in there a little bit, because I've actually...
breaking news!
Yes, it's breaking. This is breaking news. Dust War Journals. No, it's just... I'm a little bit silly here, but I think it's a good way to perhaps round off the
sure.
Because I've been talking a little bit about the music for games.
Sure.
I didn't write it in the script, so that's why we didn't think about it perhaps. But I still have that special little song I would like to end with. But of course, and before that also, I have to shout out to Joe McLaughlin, or
Yeah.
G.I. Joe, as I call him nowadays. There's a lot of things I would like to say, but I've received the package now from him, which made me so glad. I've actually gotten myself my own personal little Rick.
Pickle Rick?
No. Unfortunately, I always do something wrong with his last name, so I don't know even if you can pronounce the name of Rick if you want to. So
I don't know if it's correct either, but I say Ivanchek.
yeah, if you said it and it's wrong, it's your
Exactly. Now it's on me. So,
so it's
that's a good way to shirk responsibility.
And I can say that I will use my brush as frequently and gentle and aggressively on Rick as I did on Greg. That is, I will be as intimate with Rick as I have been with Greg. I'm so happy for this one. And now actually we've realized though that perhaps his card was not official. That's really, really bad though. I hope that it is official and we just made something wrong with that. So I'm looking forward to seeing a real official card for Rick, because Rick deserves to be official. He was official in a long, long time. Okay, sorry, just blathering away. But Joe, I will talk more about this beautiful model and when we get to Hobby Time next time, I hope.
Yeah.
But for this, let's just turn up the music, and I hope you enjoy this as much as I do.
All right.
Are you pumped up?
Yes, of course.
Yes. I so look forward to your special songs when you start bringing them. And of course, audience, if you listen to the link below and went to YouTube and looked this one up, I so would like to hear your special songs.
I thought it was I'm so sorry.
No, definitely, never. And I got more, and we'll be bringing more. If not, you guys step up to the plate, but it's okay with me. I keep on. Okay.
So what kind of army do you suggest for this soundtrack?
This is to me very British.
Yeah, of course.
A Scottish army, I think. Pump up.
Yeah, really cool. So with that said, I think we're going to actually make a little bit of a plug for our next special episode.
Yes, please.
Yeah, because we're trying, even if there has been a lot of stuff going on, we may not have been able to do everything like we wanted, like follow the kind of schedule that we kind of played out. But we are still committed to bringing you at least one episode per month and some special episodes in between. So that is the plan. And our next special episode is going to be about custom units and dustification. So we're going to show off some of our own cards, some of our own units that we have created and built, and some we have found on the internet. And if you people out there want to show off your creations, your own custom cards, your own custom units, please send them our way on Facebook or again at dustwarjournals@gmail.com. We would love to take a look at that. Yeah. So with that said, I would like to thank you guys for being with me today, and of course thank our listeners and our viewers for spending their time with us. And as usual, thank you from me, Johannes.
And from Magnus.
And from all of Birmingham.
And we will see you on the battlefield. Thank you for listening to Dust War Journals. You can find us at dustwarjournals.com or on social media at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Dust War Journals. And you can find our Patreon page at patreon.com/dustwarjournals. All music used in this podcast is made by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. Protect.com. 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 Protect.com.